Hey guys, welcome to this year's big project, and this is our first lesson in the big project. And to start, take a look at this picture. This is an artwork made by an English artist named Andy Goldsworthy. This is him right here. His favorite way to create art is to take long walks out in nature and to use what he finds on his walks to make art. I want to teach you a word here, serendipity. Everyone say serendipity. Serendipity is like a pleasant surprise. It's when something you weren't necessarily expecting to happen, happens. This is how Andy Goldsworthy makes his art. He goes for long walks out in nature and he waits for something serendipitous to happen. Let's take a look at that piece of art he made again. It's made out of a bunch of little rocks. He must have found someplace while he was walking where there were a bunch of little rocks, and when he looked closely at them, he discovered something interesting. They were not all the same color. Some of them were very dark blue, some were nearly white, and lots of them were somewhere in the middle. Time to learn another word, gradient. Everyone say gradient. A gradient is when one color slowly changes to another color. Here's an example. You can see in this sunset sky that the color is slowly changing from the top of the sky to the bottom of the sky. Here's another example of a gradient. You can see the same thing happening here in this picture of a city. There is a gradient in the sky where the color is slowly changing from one color to another color. And of course, there's a gradient here in Andy Goldsworthy's artwork, from very dark blue to almost white. So we've got two new words now, serendipity and gradient. Try to use these words tonight when you get home. If it works, come tell me or tell your teacher. We want to know if you use the words. Let's learn a third word. This is probably a word you know, patience. Everybody say patience. It must have taken a lot of patience for Andy Goldsworthy to make this piece of art. He had to collect all those rocks, organize them so all the dark ones were in one place and the lighter ones in another and the lightest ones in another. Then he had to really take his time to make sure to put them all in the circle just right so the gradient was smooth from the outside to the middle. He also had to dig a hole. The reason it's so dark in the middle of the circle of rocks is because he dug a hole and he put the rocks around it. I bet he messed up a lot, but he had patience, so he stuck with it and it ended up looking pretty fantastic. Just to show you how much patience he has, let me show you some other artworks that he's made. Here's one with leaves, and it has another gradient. For this one, he stuck wet autumn leaves on a stick very carefully and turned the middle of the stick yellow. For this one, he actually found icicles and stuck them together. He had to get the ends wet and hold them together until they froze to each other, and then go get some more and hold those together until they froze. This must have taken a long time, a lot of patience, and it must have been cold. So, I've shown you some pictures of Andy Goldsworthy's art, and we've learned three new words. Serendipity, everyone say serendipity, right, which is something cool happening that you weren't expecting to happen. And gradient, everyone say gradient, which is when a color slowly changes from one color to another. And of course, patience, everyone say patience. Yeah, because we're going to have a lot of patience to do what we're going to do next. So why am I showing you all this artwork? Because for our first big project, we're going to make a piece of art here at our school, out of stuff here at our school, inspired by Andy Goldsworthy. Inspired just means we're taking the kind of artwork he does and we're going to try to make something just like it. Let me show you what we're going to do. Hello. Here I am out in front of our school. Outside of the cafeteria and the gym and the library. And here I found a bit of serendipity. All of these rocks, they seem to be gray. But when you look really close, you discover that they're not all gray. Some of them are pretty dark, almost black. Some of them are some kind of gray, and some of them are almost totally white. Hey, what's that thing called when you have a color that changes slowly from one kind of color to another? Yes, we have a gradient here. So here's what we're going to do. It's going to take a lot of patience. We're going to collect as many of the whitest rocks we can find, the really, really white ones, the ones that are almost completely white. And we're going to use these white rocks to make a cool zigzaggedy line that zigzags its way through all these gray rocks to make a cool image. The zigzaggedy line is going to look like this. Your class is not going to make the whole line by itself. You're just going to make a part of it. If you're one of the first classes to come out, then you're going to be starting at the very beginning. If you come out later in the day, then you're going to be finding where the other classes stopped the line, and you're going to keep going from there. We're going to be making this on Thursday, October 2nd, so next week. Your teacher will take you outside sometime during that day, whatever time works for your class. And while you're out here, you will collect little white rocks and you will, it's a truck, and you will make the line a little bigger. Be careful not to step on the work the other classes have done. To get us ready, I've come out here and I've put some stakes in the ground and I put numbers on the stakes to show where the zigzag line is going to go. It's going to start over here by the cafeteria doors at stake number 1. And then it's going to go over to stake number 2, and then it's going to come over here to number 3, go over to number 4, number 5, and so on, all through this area. I went all the way to 20. I don't know if we'll make it to 20, but we're going to try to go as far as we can. Here's how to do it. First, figure out where you need to start. I'm here at stake number 1, where our line will begin. What you're going to do is you're going to go to a place out here in the rocks, and you're going to find the whitest rocks you can find, the really, really white ones, and you're going to collect the really, really white ones. When you have a nice big handful, you're going to go back and work on the line. You can go anywhere out here in the rocks as long as you stay on the rocks to try to find the white rocks. Some places have a whole bunch of them, some places only have a few. When you have a good handful, walk back to wherever the end of the line is and put your rocks down like this. Notice we're not making a really skinny line with each rock one by one in a row. We want it to be a little bit wide so people can see it. If you see some spots other kids have made that are too skinny, you can go add your rocks and make it look a little bit wider. Then, go get more rocks and come back and add to the line. You want your line to be heading to the next stake. Since I started at stake number 1, I'm heading to stake number 2. Once I get there, I'll turn and head for stake number 3. Be careful not to step on the line while you're working. Watch where you're walking. If it gets really crowded, if there's a lot of people working there, just be patient. When they run out of rocks, they'll go get more rocks, and then you can get down there and you can make the line bigger, and then you can go get more rocks. Always get the really white ones. They're out there. You just have to look. At the end of the day, I'll go out after school and take away all the stakes so that all people are going to see is our cool zigzaggedy line out there among the rocks. It should look great. All right, so that's what we're going to do. A really cool piece of land art inspired by the English artist Andy Goldsworthy. And we've also learned 3 new words. Serendipity. Everyone say serendipity. All right. And gradient. Everyone say gradient. And patience. Everyone say patience. Excellent. I can't wait to see how all this turns out. I look forward to seeing your class out there with my class working on the project next week. See you there.